Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. Moving to the agenda approval. Any changes to the agenda? No changes to the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda as presented? So moved by Schmidt, second by Scully. It's Scully. To approve the agenda as presented. Can I get all in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, motion passes. Moving on to some future events. Please check the district website for a complete list of monthly events. Thursday, February 13th and Friday, February 14th, no school, staff professional workday. Monday, February 17th, no school, President's Day, District Service Center closed. Tuesday, February 18th, no school, staff professional workday. Saturday, February 22nd, Panther Foundation Panthers for a Purpose Party. Tuesday, February 25th, school board work session at 5 p.m. And Tuesday, March 4th, regular school board meeting at 7 p.m. with communications to the board and administration at 6:45. Moving on to the consent agenda. Can I get a motion? So moved by Forsberg. Second by Hennen. To approve the following items of the consent agenda. Minutes of the January 14, 2025 organizational meeting and regular meeting. Minutes of the January 28, 2025 work session. Bills paid for December 2024 in the following amount. A total of $4,663,134. Personnel items, seniority lists, and lane changes. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. And moving on to discussion, reports, and information items. Engaged and enthusiastic learners align work of adults to continuously improve personalized instruction and responsiveness to meet our students' unique and varied needs. District operational project updates, or operational plan project updates, deepen student engagement through innovative and personalized learning. Dr. Hope Ron, Ms. Melissa Olson, and Ms. Amy Berlin. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. Well, at our January work session, I took the opportunity to bring the board along on a number of different professional learning opportunities our teachers have had this year. Tonight, we are narrowing that down to just speaking to you a little bit again about the professional learning that's happened through this district operational plan project that Mr. Easter shared, deepen student engagement through innovative and personalized learning. And you heard from me quite a bit a couple weeks ago, so tonight I'm going to pass it off and let other people share their experiences with you. So to kick it off, I will hand it over to Dr. Melissa Olson, our Director of Learning Design and Student Engagement, and Amy Berlin, our Learning and Innovation Coordinator for Literacy.
Okay, hello. All right, so we have two projects that we would like to give you an update on tonight, as Hope already referenced. The first is deepen student engagement in E6, or early childhood through 6th grade, literacy through innovative and personalized learning. And then deepen engagement in grades 7, 12 through innovative and personalized learning. And we're excited to bring you along on some of the work that's been happening in both of those projects. Okay, so our teacher facilitators are leading the learning. You're going to get to hear from some of them tonight, which we're excited about. But a little bit of context and background just to set the stage. So we had an open invitation to all teachers to indicate if they were interested in being a teacher facilitator back in June. And we have teacher facilitators across all of our buildings. At the E6 level, we, and as well as 7-12 center-based, we have 29 teacher facilitators who join us regularly across grade levels and across schools. At the 7-12 level, plus our K-6 specialists, we have 28 teacher facilitators. Those teacher facilitators come from across content areas, and one of the things that's been really wonderful about that this year is they've had an opportunity to work more vertically across 7-12, so having our Westwood teachers with our high school teacher facilitators regularly. And then our specialists have had the opportunity to spend much more time together K-12 as well in music, visual arts, and so on. So our facilitators come together once a month to learn together and prepare to lead learning at their buildings. They facilitate professional learning for their colleagues on professional learning days and through their professional learning communities or PLCs. Really the goal with this was the idea that our teacher facilitators would be able to personalize learning for our teachers in the same way that we ask our teachers to facilitate learning for their students. The feedback we've received so far has been overwhelmingly positive from our teachers on professional learning days, getting to work in smaller groups and being led by their colleagues. So it's been an exciting endeavor, and I'm gonna turn it over to Amy to share a little bit more about like what exactly that looks like.
All right, our teacher facilitators have 4 kind of primary roles that they have been working on this year. One role is to engage in that learning first. They've had monthly opportunities as lead learners to come together to deepen their learning around the engagement tools. They also, during those monthly learning days, have a workshop time where they have a chance to use those design qualities and apply them to an upcoming experience with students, to then try it out with their students so they're able to share with their colleagues how that implementation went for them so that they can learn from each other. In addition to the engagement learning, at early childhood through grade 6 and then our 7-12 center-based teacher facilitators, they've had the opportunity to engage in that read act literacy learning. There's like starting in August, and they just wrapped up in January. They've been able to stay just a step ahead of everybody else so that they could be ahead in that learning and then be able to facilitate and share their experiences around the literacy learning. A second role is then to develop skills to design and facilitate high quality professional learning. The facilitators have been able to experience all of the learning first and then take what they've experienced to design the learning for their colleagues. They've been incorporating some intentional groupings, utilizing protocols to facilitate reflection and dialogue, and then intentionally making connections between engagement and literacy and other initiatives in Spring Lake Park. For example, they've been able to weave in our tools for cultural proficiency. They've woven in competency-based learning, as well as creating a learner-centered environment, so bringing everything together. Then the third role that we've worked on this year is to deepen their practice of our Spring Lake Park leadership approach to prepare for their role as leaders. Some of the things we've done there, when the benefit of pulling people together for those monthly teacher facilitator meetings, we've been able to weave in really knowing and living out our Spring Lake Park norms, as well as the concept of self-differentiation. Our fourth role that we've worked on this year is to implement professional learning, including sharing those experiences and the impact that their implementation has had on student learning. The teacher facilitators have been an integral part of all of our professional learning days throughout this year, leading small groups at their school and weaving in all that impact that they've experienced as lead learners with their students. Kind of, if you can imagine on a professional learning day, maybe in the past you would have seen like a larger group of 40 teachers in a room doing some learning together, and this year you would likely see like 4 small groups of 10 teachers in a group spread throughout the whole building, really engaging in that deep conversation with each other and designing work for their students, all led by a teacher facilitator, one of their colleagues, who has already tried implementing these things with their students, and being been supported by other district leaders in the building. It's been a really powerful experience, and like Melissa mentioned earlier, we were really excited tonight to have some of those teacher facilitators here to be able to share with you. We have 2 teachers from elementary and 3 teachers who are facilitating secondary here, and we're gonna have them come up a couple at a time and share their name, their school, and the role that they're in, and then really some of those things that have been meaningful to them about being a teacher facilitator this year. So we'll go ahead and start with a couple of our elementary teacher facilitators.
And hello everyone. My name is Diana Facenero, and I am a second grade teacher at Woodcrest Spanish Immersion. It is a pleasure to be here, and I first want to thank Hop for inviting me because it is an opportunity to bring these experiences from a multicultural perspective. So thank you. Being a facilitator for me has been an inspiration for other people as well, especially because most of the training that we have comes from basically the same people always, right? So inviting teachers to be that face, to be that facilitator, has opened an opportunity for other teachers to say, I also want to participate, I also want to do it. For Woodcrest, it has been meaningful because with our principal, we decided to translate this material and allow people to participate in the language that they want. Some people decided to take the training in English and participate in their discussions in English, but some people decided to do the whole training with me in Spanish. So it was meaningful for all of them, for everyone, to decide how to participate and how to be together. Something else was that I translated every single module, so it has been meaningful for all the facilitators at Woodcrest to present a similar material. We have been taking our curriculums, we have been taking our lessons and connecting it to this. And as a teacher, I have to say that even though this is a new training and this has been in our district, this is not completely new. This is what we have been doing, working based on research-based practices as well. So it has been an opportunity for everyone as well to align those practices and be able to teach Spanish and English as well, utilizing the same research-based practices also. Something else that has been meaningful for myself and for my group of teachers at Woodcrest is that we have been coming together to inspire teachers that have been there for many, many years, but are not in the leadership roles. So this has been an opportunity for them as well to say how we can incorporate those practices and teach and lead and show the students that come from other countries as well that they can participate, that their voices are valuable, and we can be together for them and for our community. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Am I okay? Okay. My name is Christina Hedstrom. Thanks for allowing us to come and share with you this evening. I am a complementary teacher at Centerview. And as has been shared with you this evening, we're here as lead learners, and I've been a lead learner in the area of literacy. We've gone through the learning first, asynchronously, and then we've helped design and lead the learning within our buildings this year. Being a lead learner has provided me the opportunity to develop some new skills professionally in this facilitator role. And as I learn alongside my colleagues, I haven't had many opportunities for that in the past. So that's been personally and professionally a positive for me. I've appreciated collaborating with a team when we meet as facilitators across the district, as well as with my core team of facilitators at Centerview. It has been great to see how purposeful we have approached the learning by connecting it to our core resources, our reading framework, and engagement strategies. In the design time on professional learning days, teachers are collaborating and working together to design learning that includes the instructional and engagement strategies that we're learning about through the use of our core resources. We have also been purposeful with staff learning in vertically aligned small groups, meaning teachers across various grade levels, academic specialists, multilingual learner teachers, speech pathologists, and those in student services are all going through the learning together. We're able to share our unique experiences that we bring and learn from one another in how we approach literacy instruction in our unique roles. As I went through the learning on my own, I was eager to then engage with the learning with my colleagues and hear what they were noticing and wondering, and engaged in conversation and discussion with them. I have brought up thoughts and wonderings to my colleagues, and they have shared new perspectives and ideas with me. We are learning from one another, and this is positively impacting student learning. Thank
evening. I'm Angela Skougie. I teach seventh grade math at Westwood Middle School. Had some of your children. I appreciate the opportunity tonight to be able to share with you the impact that being a lead learner has had on myself professionally and in my classroom. Being a part of this group has been a very positive experience for me, and I've had a lot of great things that I've been learning along the way. But one thing that's been in discussion over the years is student engagement. That's something that has been a topic of conversation. And so when I heard that this was a focus for our district, I was very curious and interested to see how are they gonna incorporate this into our professional learning throughout the year. And so once I heard the plan of what we were going to do, I was super excited to see how might this translate into my classroom. Being a part of the lead learner group has been, like I said, a positive experience for me. It has really caused me to reflect on my teaching practices and look at how am I really meeting the needs of my students so that they're being successful. I've really appreciated the days that we get once a month to meet together as a group at the district office here. We use that time to go dig deeper into Schlechty's design qualities. So we're learning more about them. We're having a discussion about what would that look like implementing that in our classrooms? What challenges might we face as we try to do that, and just having good discussion. But the best part is our discussions are happening across grade levels, across content areas, and even talking with teachers from other schools. So I'm gaining very valuable different perspectives in that way. We've also spent a lot of time talking about engagement, like what is student engagement? And so I learned that engagement is not being compliant. It's actually when the students are going to volunteer their attention, their time, their effort towards a task or an activity that you have. So that made me reflect on my own teaching and what activities I plan for my students. And are they just being compliant, or am I really getting them to want to do the activity and task and be involved in it? I think throughout this process, I've definitely grown professionally and as a leader. Being able to have that time on those days once a month to plan out, what my next step is going to be, what am I going to try in my classroom, and then in turn going to my colleagues and sharing that with them, and then being able to facilitate them through the learning process has been very valuable. It's been exciting to see that I can share what challenges I might have faced or what successes I've had, and then share that with my colleagues and have a discussion around what might they try, or what they need to know more about to support them. Honestly, this has been refreshing because I've been teaching for almost 20 years now. And so sometimes you get in that rut of like teaching the same way every year. You have different students in front of you, but you tend to do the same thing year after year. So this has caused me to go back and look at how I'm teaching and refocus on, knowing my who and figuring out what do I need to do to make sure that they're engaged and interested and see that the learning that we're doing is important. So it's been refreshing for me to have this different perspective again. One thing that I've done in my classrooms that we talked about in our lead learner group is to know our who. So one way to do that is I give students surveys and an interest survey to find out, how do you learn best? What are some activities that you like to do to learn about the concepts that we're working on? What questions do you have, that kind of thing. And so I'll give them the survey at the beginning of a unit, throughout the unit, and at the end. And for example, one student really wanted to do paper dodgeball. and so I took his advice, and the look on his face when he came to class, and on the agenda was paper dodgeball today. He was so excited. And so one thing that we talked about is like, if you're asking for feedback, make sure that you're using the feedback. And so that student was like, she listened to me and we tried it, and the rest of the students saw that too. And so I feel like I've built that foundation of trust, and they will give me value, their honest feedback, and I'll use it to make the next lesson more interesting and engaging. So that's been kind of fun, like just getting to know my students more with like a simple survey, different questions. And then the facilitation piece, when I bring back my what I've tried in my classroom and I've shared it with my colleagues, that has been powerful because we have really good discussions about just like, how did that go? And what do you mean about, how can I use this design quality in this part of my lesson? And so just, it drives the conversation about just improving our teaching practices and making sure we're doing what's best for students. So I'm very excited to see where this journey will take me for the rest of the year, because I think it'll be great, and it already has been. And I appreciate you taking the time to listen to me. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Karen Coots. I am one of our technology, engineering, and design teachers at the high school. And despite my gray hair, I've only been a teacher for 7 years. My first experience was in industry for over 20 years. And my last position I had in industry was all around continuous improvement. So I'm super excited to be part of this initiative because it is an opportunity for me to help drive change, not just in my classroom, but across the school as well. Design is my passion. So I love and greatly appreciate this extra time that I've had to dedicate towards making more meaningful and engaging lessons for my students. And it's really refreshing to be given a framework which we can look at and help us evaluate what we're doing so we can continue to drive improvement beyond just a 1 or a 2-time experiment. I've seen the results of these experiments in my entry engineering class. I'm probably one of the only ones here where I see students every trimester. So I'm in my 3rd iteration. I did this class last year. It was the first time I did it. So I did it then in try 1, and now I'm in the middle of it in try 2. And based on what we've been learning with the Schlechte engagement model, I've changed it every single trimester. And I think I've been changing it for the better. There are things that we take into consideration about knowing your who, Angela had mentioned. And when I started off try 2 for this engineering class, I had a set vision on what I was going to do because, man, I really improved it the first trimester, so I know what I'm doing. And I came and I said, well, maybe I should ask the students what they'd like to do. And I learned all my assumptions were wrong. The things that I was going to focus on were not the things they wanted to focus on. So instead, I listened to their voice, changed up. And what it's been really fun to see is we do things where we're building little simple machines, we're wiring breadboards, we're doing little bits of programming, we're making bridges. And I'm seeing kids get excited about things that I don't think they would get excited about. I've had students who just said, they're in our alt program or they haven't had a lot of success in school to say, I think I like this. This class is not so bad. And I'm like, well, yeah, it's great. If we can all sit down and have some fun and put some focus on our learning and make it engaging, you can find it fun. So that's been super refreshing because I don't think without the extra days and the extra time to do that and to do that in collaboration with colleagues across the different schools and buildings, I don't think I'd be able to make that experience for those students. The other great thing that I love about this is in my area in engineering, I've often been a professional learning community of one. And many of us in the pathways, we all are singletons. We are the only people who teach our courses. And that can be fairly isolating. This has really allowed us to create a much stronger community. I have witnessed better collaboration across all of the pathways teachers, not just at the high school, but also getting to know our STEM colleagues down at Westwood. So it's been amazing to be able to connect that way. One of the fruits of that was just during registration, a couple of our technology, engineering, design teachers, we went down to the STEM classrooms to talk to the 8th graders about the classes that they can have at the high school and what would be good opportunities for them. And without this type of community and feeling that we had that connection, I don't know that that would have come about. The other thing that I feel too is just being able to support my colleagues' growth. I become a better practitioner. So I'm able to learn from them and what they're trying. They're able to question me. Why did I do something? And that reflection and that sharing process helps me continue to be a better teacher every day. Finally, the one thing that I really, I think has paid off a lot is the fact that this community now, they're starting to learn from each other, right? Again, that a sense of true collaboration where people aren't designing in a vacuum anymore. They're starting to share tools, they're starting to share techniques, and those relationships and that collaboration really helps set the foundation for continuous improvement. So I really appreciated this opportunity. It's been invigorating for me, and I hope we continue to invest in this type of personalized learning for teachers.
Thanks for having me. My name is Zach Villarreal. I'm a ninth grade language arts teacher at the high school, and I also serve as our curriculum lead. On a personal level, the teacher, facilitator, and lead learning initiative has been really impactful for me. I have felt called to education as a teacher and now as a leader, so having the opportunity to reflect, practice, and refine my leadership skills alongside building and district leaders with my colleagues has been really fruitful and enriching. Throughout my time here at Spring Lake Park in the last 7 years, I've felt an abundance of grace in the support of my leadership journey. And it's with that I've been able to find such meaning behind this work and really believe in it. So far, kind of the most powerful, impactful moment I think we've had in our time together has been when we do our learning here together at the district. We've learned that to truly measure student engagement, you have to ask the students. You can't just figure out engagement based on casual observations. But you have to actually ask them, which builds off what Angela had shared earlier and some of the other co-facilitators here. So as a language arts department and teacher facilitators, that was something that we really held close to us and wanted to stand firm on, was knowing our learners, knowing our who, so that we can use that knowledge to deepen and personalize engaging student experiences and student work. So in our language arts department at the high school, what we actually did was all teachers surveyed a cohort of students and asked them what activities, what sort of classroom culture components, what ways they learn best, draw in their highest levels of engagement. And then during one of our on-site days where we were all together, we collaborated by looking at what the students had all said about engagement, what things we noticed across 9 through 12 grades, and we thematically organized and looked at patterns that we were noticing, and we reflected and refined on where we saw opportunities for growth and also where we saw areas of strength. And then we've used that data to now inform and influence our design of units moving forward. So for example, in the 9th grade classroom, one area or one piece of feedback that I got from my students from a curriculum lens was that they really enjoyed doing like passionate, creative narrative writing, like having the opportunity to really personalize writing through poetry, through creative short stories, through even writing songs, and they liked having choice with all that. So that was something as a 9th grade group we took, and we decided during Tri-2 we have to build more of that in. So personally, I have really felt just like this has been a really great initiative for this year, and I think the number of co-facilitators that we have in this program is really evident of this work. It's been really great to have the opportunity to meet teachers where they're at throughout this work, to hear their feedback and support them for wherever they are at, and also to just take their feedback and make adjustments and adaptations to the learning as we see fit. All ultimately with the goal of personalizing and deepening student learning more with the focus of engagement.
I promise we did not tell them what to say. We just said share something that's had meaning. Thank you all for sharing like really heartfelt things. Obviously, I think I speak for Amy too. I feel super privileged, and refreshed is a great word, that having had the opportunity to work with our teacher facilitators this year has been for sure a highlight for me. I just wanted to check in and see if you have any questions for me, for Amy, or for any of the teacher facilitators before we close this part out.
Any questions?
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. I mean, I loved everything that was said, but the look on your face and Hope's face was the best.
Okay, I could talk for a long time about this, but we've heard a lot about it. but I have no words, just to hear it from the teachers, it blows me away. It's amazing. I'm very proud of this. It's amazing, so thank you all. Tell your other teachers too, thank you. It's amazing.
I also want to thank the teachers for coming because to Ally's point, we heard a lot about it, but it's not as true to life as coming from you all. And so not only thank you for coming, but thank you for being leaders amongst the teachers so that the rest of the faculty can also bring this to their classrooms as well.
13 years ago when I got on the board, this was a great district. But one of the things I loved about it from the very beginning was the words continuous improvement were being used even then. And seeing how, you know, every year it gets better and better and better, but you know, this is just a whole new level, and having you guys come, and these guys have mentioned it, like we've been hearing about this, but having you come and talk about how valuable it is just super valuable, I guess, for lack of a better word, to us, because it's, you know, we kind of are here a little bit, and it's wonderful to have you come and tell us about it, and the improvement it must be in your professional learning, like you said, to have these small groups, to be learning from other teachers, and both be a teacher and a learner at the same time, I'm assuming from what you guys are talking about. It's really amazing, so thank you.
The word that comes to my mind when empowering. That's what I wrote down here, is just empowering, so.
Well, Amy in her 13 years, you know, is just a beginner.
Are you gonna dunk on me, Marilyn?
More years ago than that, everything really was adult-run and done for the convenience of the adult, and the students were just students. And so it's really, really heartwarming to see how much the students are involved and how much more student-centered education has begun. So, thank you.
And I just want to say, it's fun for me to hear from so many different areas of this. It's like, we hear a lot about this. And it's fun to see the faces and hear them in a good way. We hear a lot about it in a good way. But it's really refreshing to see each of you share something so different. I took a note from each one of you that, like, I was like, oh, that's so wonderful. I'm gonna write that. Because it's touching for me to hear it, and having 4 kids that have gone through this district. It's so encouraging for me too, and I'm excited. I'm excited that it's working. You know, and that you're seeing it, you're hearing it from people doing it. So thank you guys.
Other comments? All right, I'll wrap it up with this comment. I echo everything that's said up here. I really do, other than the years on the board. And I'm one of the younger ones too, so. But I do want to say, I love hearing about the passion. I love hearing about continuous improvement. I'm in a job, I'm an agile coach, so I talk continuous improvement and all that kind of stuff all day long. But to see the passion on everyone's face and to hear about it, that kind of passion is infectious. So it's gonna go to the other teachers, and from those teachers, it goes to the students. And when the students see that, they get excited about education. They get excited about the subjects that they're learning. So I just want to say I appreciate the passion and excitement. I appreciate you sharing the opportunities that you have, because that's what we're all about. We want to make sure that we're giving opportunities for you as educators, because we also know that that's going to give our students and our kiddos opportunities too, and it's going to make them excited about education. So I just appreciate everybody's time, and I know it's a little challenging sometimes, but well worth it. It's one of the visions of our district. It's a vision we had for a long time, and yeah, we just appreciate all the time and effort. Thank you.
And I would just say thank you too I remember when Jeff and I and Hope described this idea to you last spring, and the support that you gave us to have this additional time to be able to do this. So just a note of appreciation for that, and hopefully then it sounds like it was fun to hear it come to life for you. So thanks.
I want to say thank you to, each of the teachers who are here, Diana, who had to run out, but I really appreciate everything you've done. And one of the things that I heard each of you mention was every one of you at some point talked about your who. And you talked about your kid, and that's keeping our kids really at the core. But one of the things I know you're doing in this role is you've got more who's than just your students. Because one of the things I know you're taking to heart is the who you're working with on these professional learning days, your colleagues, and how you can help bring them along, and how you're looking at what their interests are, their needs, and help each one of them in unique ways. And really starting with that approach of, it's really easy. One of the things that really frustrates me, the board's heard me talk about this before, is that people can often get labeled as resistant to change. And I always like to say people are more hesitant than they are resistant. And I think your work this year is helping those people that are more hesitant to start taking these steps, be able to do that. So I appreciate your stepping into not just the work you're doing with the students, but that leadership role, because you're making a difference for, in that way, for thousands of kids. And for the teachers who are sitting here who aren't one of the lead learners, you're doing this work too. So thank you very much for that. So it's fun to see it happening throughout the system. And the last thanks is to Melissa and Amy, because they've put a ton of work in. And one of the things that's been really important to them, I know, because Melissa comes in and shares ideas with me that she's got and a lot. And, but one of the things that's really important to her is modeling, that she's making sure she's taking what the needs are. So if she talks about her who, which is these teacher leaders, that she's working with them. And Amy's doing that. So they're really positioning them to be effective as they move out. So there's a lot of people in this. Thank you to all of them, because I do, when I walk around, I can see it really making a difference for kids. And so, thank you.
Thank you.
You have a budget presentation right now.
Yeah, if you want to stick around for the budget presentation. Nobody wants to stick around? I tried, Amy. I tried. Jeff tried too. You know, is it?
I do not take it personally.
So we're moving.
But it is always hard to get up after, like, somebody's describing all the great things we do.
Yeah.
But it is hard to follow that. And then it's, okay, so our strong management is what allows us to do all the great work that we're doing with kids. So I will keep it brief again tonight, as we do this each month, present our monthly financial report. So tonight we are reporting for the month of December, our same 3 reports we do each month. So the treasurer's report is our beginning and ending cash balance, as well as our cash receipts and disbursements. The disbursement side is kind of right in line with what we would typically see in December. On the receipt side, a little bit higher than typical at this time of year, but with that we had about 86% of our receipts in December came in, but just between state aids and taxes. And then if you add in our internal service funds, which is our premiums for our medical and dental insurance, it makes up 92% of the revenue that we bring in on any given month. So the rest of those are really just based on whether it's participation, meals, things like that. So the bulk of it comes from just those 3 areas. So you can see we ended the month with just over $72 million in cash. On the statement of revenues, this report shows our December receipts as well as our year-to-date, our budget, and then that percentage of where we are to our budget at this point in the year and where we were at this point the last 2 years. So with that, the board did do budget adjustments in January, so those are not reflected yet. They will be reflected when we do the next report in March. So with that, you can see that on the revenue side here, the general fund and the community education fund are very similar to where they've been the last few years. On the nutrition side, this is something we brought up the last few months, that in fiscal 23 and 24, there was supply chain assistance funds that we were getting from the federal government due to the pandemic. Those were often just, here's the allocation you're gonna get, and they sent it. So it wasn't something, it often came after we had already gone through a budget process, we didn't know it was coming. So that was something that typically at this point in the year, we would have received. That is no longer coming our way, so that is why it does look a little lower. And then we've also mentioned this the last few months on the debt service fund. We had our bond refunding, where we did refinance our bonds to get lower interest rates. And we had initially budgeted for that in the current school year. We did end up booking it back to June. So we've talked to the board about that a few times. You'll see that we are, the budget will be dropped on both the revenue and expense side when we present this next month. So on the statement of expenditures, the report is laid out the same way. So on this one, you can see that our compensation is ahead of where we have been the last few years. That is due to negotiated one-time payments in one of our contracts. Other areas where we are over was capital is one of those, and that was basically the LED project that we had going this summer. So that put us a little bit ahead of where we would have otherwise been. The rest of them are, the percentages might look a little funky, but between all of them in total, they kind of do come out a little closer to where they have been, just between different areas. On the food service side, we are a little bit below there as well. We had several pieces of equipment that were ordered and installed by December of last year. I know one of them was the big dishwasher, a cooler. We do have several things that are coming, and some of them got done over our winter break. So with those, we'll start to see those come in. So I would expect in a couple of months that our food service will align more with the budget at that time. And then debt we already mentioned. So with that, that is our report for the month of December, if there are any questions.
Any questions?
All right.
Thanks,
thank you.
Amy. Moving to superintendent report.
So we have all kinds of fun news from all over the district. First off is early childhood. We had the I Love to Read month that happened here right at the start of February. It was fun. It was on a Saturday. In the lower left, you see that really good-looking guy getting to read to the attendees there. So, but there were all kinds of all kinds of readers, guest readers that joined that day. So it was a lot of fun.
We're all pointing at the panther.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I asked for it. So kindergartners at Woodcrest Spanish Immersion, they worked on the letter B while creating some super big, I'm not even gonna try to say that, correct, bubbles. So, you can see, so.
Barbuja?
There we go. All right, so it's kind of fun, and I appreciate Erica working with her team and capturing some of these pictures, because it's some of the things you heard the teachers talk about earlier. It's how it's coming to life in each of our schools and giving you a glimpse into each of the schools in this way. So Park Terrace's Literacy Night, everyone enjoyed hearing the Ojibwe storyteller, playing sight word games, etc. So it's kind of fun. As the pictures are a lot of fun, you can see some of our staff in the lower left there having fun as well. So, but that is always super well attended event. So we had our 6th grade students, you can see here in a general music class, getting into a 6th grade group with the ukuleles. So our Westwood Knowledge Bowl is always very successful. Over there you can see that both teams competed in their first meet and they finished in the top 10. So I will let you read down the left. I don't need to read that to you, but you can see the pick of the kids who participated in that. All right, and then a couple of our Westwood students performed in the Minnesota Band Directors Association Central Region Honor Band Festival and Concert. So it's pretty exciting. And our Lighthouse class worked on a multidisciplinary unit focusing on the question, why and how do scientists explore the ocean? So with that, they did some research, wrote speeches on a marine animal of their choice, and created 3D models with cardboard, paper mache, and paint. Lots of smiles there. Okay, and then our one-act play earned 2nd place in section finals, which is great. They performed Girls in the Boat, play that tells the story of the first women's Olympic rowing team at the 1976 Olympics. It's been fun to see how that program in recent years has just taken off. And there we go. And then our always successful FCC LA students competed in the area Midwinter Star event. All 13 students qualified to advance to compete at the state level. So we often talk about various programs we have, dance team, football, all these teams that are successful. Well, this is another one that's not in athletics, but I want to brag. activities that they are extremely successful year to year. It's fun to see. And then, you just heard from our teacher of the intro to engineering students. They designed and 3D printed custom bathroom passes for teachers who were their clients. So teachers shared their interests and needs and inspired designs from video game themes to department logos. So.
I know.
Yeah, you can see the one right in the middle there. Yeah, yep. Yeah, that's pretty fun. And then our two student school board members, Allison and Mia, are on the superintendent student advisory group. And we just recently met. I left you all an update about it. That's always, one of my highlights, getting to, about 2.5 hours, I think we spent together that day. We put them to work with a number of questions that they really dug into. But, one thing, they get feedback on the cell phone approach that we have. Talked a little bit, student engagement piece was more getting on their radar to, talking to them about what it is, what we're trying to do, and then having them kind of keep their eyes open for what do they see evidence of, and we're going to be talking about that the next time around. And then we also talked about kind of their hopes and dreams, and so it's sophomores, juniors, and seniors. We don't have any freshmen on, but the sophomores were together, the juniors were together, and they kind of talked about what their hopes and dreams are for the rest of their high school experience to inform us, and then the seniors got to share their wisdom more about what the benefits have that they've realized during their time here. So it was fun. It was a lot of fun. And then I just wanted to share this because we're watching the legislative session down in St. Paul, at least what there has been of it. It's kind of slow start to it, but we're watching closely, especially for funding of schools. I think one of the key next dates is going to be the budget update that will happen here at the end of February, probably first week of March is where that's going to be shared with the public, and then that's where we'll really start seeing the House and the Senate putting together some plans. But people often ask about from the 2023 session and that big investment that we had in education, and there was a big investment in education, but there were also a lot of mandates and things like that that came along with it, and the good news is that as Amy just shared, we're in a good budget situation where, unlike a couple of our neighboring districts are having to make budget cuts for this next year, we're not having to make those budget cuts. But there are some things that, because we do have managed and we do have that flexibility with our fund balance and things like that, even though we're projecting some cuts, for example, compensatory revenue and other things. Right now, we're maintaining that programming for next year and planning, and should that go away, we'll at least have time then to purposefully plan for that into the future if there would be that reduction in funding. And we'll advocate and hope that there won't be, but we are able to plan forward without that. So, but without additional investment from the state in the coming years here, and after years of kind of underinvestment from the state, we're kind of getting to that tipping point here where it's been 24 years since we've gone to the community and asked for an increase in operating levy. We do have the lowest operating levy of all the AMSD districts. So it's just something we're going to have to continue to see what happens. So, but that's an important one for us to all pay attention to. Oh, yes, thank you. Association of Metropolitan School Districts. So it's 48 districts. There's 41 that are in the kind of in the 7-county metro area, and then there's an additional 7 like St. Cloud, Rochester, Duluth, a few others that have joined the Metropolitan School District. So, yes, the lowest of a long list. So this was at the start of the board meeting, these dates, but you can see no school for students. So February 13th and 14th, you had a chance to hear from the teachers. So February 13th and part of the day on the 14th are really important staff professional learning days. And then also part of that 14th is just a work day for staff. So they have some time to get, just get work done and be prepped for upcoming on the 18th where there's some communication with families. March 6th is the end of trimester 2, then we have spring break, and then we launch the final trimester of the year. So, which is hard to believe. So next week is our week of giving and Panther Party for the Panther Foundation. So they do a great job with that. So people can look for, you don't just have to attend the party. There's all kinds on Saturday evening. There's all kinds of ways throughout the week to get involved. So I encourage people to check that out. And also Disney High School Musical will be our Westwood musical. end of February, early March. So, and that is all I have for you, unless there's any questions.
Any questions for Jeff? All right. Moving on to action items. Acknowledgement of gifts. Can I get a motion? So moved by Schmidt. Second by McClellan. To approve the following resolution. Whereas School Board Policy 706 establishes guidelines for the acceptance of gifts to the district, and whereas Minnesota Statute 465.03 states that a school board may accept a gift of real or personal property by the adoption of a resolution approved by 2/3 of its members. Therefore, be it resolved that the School Board of Spring Lake Park Schools accepts with appreciation the gifts as shown. Any discussion? We always like to say thank you to our donors for being so generous. Clerk, can you call roll, please?
Yes. Schmidt. Yes. McClellan.
Yes.
Forsberg. Yes. Malala.
Yes.
Skelly, yes. Pennon.
Yes.
And Easter.
Yes,
Resolution has been adopted in a 7-0 vote.
thank you.
Yeah, I know, I'm killing it.
Did you have your mic on though? Awesome, great. All right, moving to board forum and reports. We'll start with our student reps.
So starting with sports, winter sports are wrapping up. Girls hockey are playing in their semifinals tonight, and they're ranked 3rd in the state, so good luck to them. Our Alpine and Nordic ski teams just competed a few days ago in conference. Alpine won in conference and Nordic placed 3rd. And one of our Nordic skiers, Addie Rohr, is actually going to state tomorrow for Nordic skiing. Transitioning to warmer weather thoughts, spring sports registration is opening and it's open, so make sure to sign up. And then we also had signing day recently. Jason Eagle for football, Luke Fehrenbacher for track and field, and Remy Zion for volleyball, and he's our first boys volleyball commit from SLP.
All right.
So.
I'm just gonna mention again how the One Act got second in their sections because I feel like that's really big for us. They always do really well in the One Act competition, but placing second is just awesome. And as someone who knows many theater kids, I know they had more fun doing it than placing, so that was exciting. They actually had auditions yesterday for the spring musical, Hello Dolly, so that's gonna be coming up as well. And then because we're not just good at sports, obviously, because we have an amazing theater department, we also have amazing band and choir students. And just recently was the Northwest Suburban Music Conference. And in that, we had 4 kids in the all-state band. And within our conference, schools only have maybe 1 or 2 students in that all-state band. So we have the most with 4, which is pretty awesome. And then we just wrapped up our Spirit Week. We started off Saturday decorating the school, student council, NHS members. I thought it looked the greatest it ever has. It's always fun to see. I mean, I'm a little biased, but it's always fun to see the streamers up and the snowflakes and just the joy on everyone's faces putting that up. So throughout that week, we had the Power Buff game. So junior boys versus senior boys playing volleyball, and the seniors came out victorious. Go us. We have the Amazing Race, which is where students in pairs run around the school solving riddles and then competing in challenges to get their next riddle. We had gift cards they could win, so there was an incentive. So we did have a good group of students that keep coming back every year. I think our winner has done it 3 years now and has won all 3 years. So, yeah, we gotta get the new winners going in.
She's a junior, so she has 1 more year.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully she can win that senior year.
Yeah.
And then our winter dance was supposed to be Saturday, but it was postponed due to the winter weather that we had with the snowstorm. But even though was very disappointing for us, we're actually looking forward to reshaping what we're gonna do for this. We're gonna go in a different direction than a semi-formal dance in the spring and hopefully gain some more attention and more participation with that. And of course, we always had the Pep Fest where we had the Panther out and we had people cheering and we had musical chairs, teachers versus staff, and I'm pretty sure we had a few staff with injuries, but it's okay. But overall, it was a really good Spirit Week, and I'm glad that even without, the name Spirit Week going around every week, you can see the spirit going around through students and staff every single day. Yeah.
Thank you, great updates. Again, makes me wanna go back to high school, but I'm crazy. So we'll start with the board on this side. Any updates?
I'll get there. Just a couple. So I had a really great conversation about now, just after the last board meeting with Eric Van Brocklin, who is, for those of you that don't know, the teacher that oversees all of the career and pathways stuff. And I had met up with him it's part of my assignment for this year as a member of the board, but also because I just sort of geek out on that stuff. And I was already excited to talk to him, but then in speaking with him, could not get over all of the different places the web of career and pathways goes. And so not only the health side, but also the business side, and also what I would say the tech and space, and the connections we have to other schools. So it's just, I was, a half an hour was not nearly enough time, and we covered a lot of ground. And so that was really exciting conversation. I also saw Girls in the Boat and saw them at sections, and they did a bang up job. And fun fact, it's like almost an entire cast of seniors. And so for them, it was, I think, just really special for that to kind of be their swan song of one act. And then the other assignment that I have is my first day on the Minnesota School District Liquid Asset Fund, which is a fund that we invest in as part of our overall financial stuff. And I'm going to meet up with Amy and get some facts, some blanks filled in on some things that I was like taking notes on. But that was my first board meeting was this morning, and that should be some good stuff. So, yeah, where we get some of our extra dollars. Thank you.
Anyone else on this? Sam?
I went to the high school today because my daughter had an appointment with her counselor, and we were gonna do it online, but my daughter wanted me to pick her up from school, so I ended up going in person. I saw Scott Wickland, and he said that he's waiting for his invite to come address the board. But anyways, it's just humbling being there, and seeing everything, and just, I'm kind of like my daughter. I didn't think she had as big of a plan as she does. It's kind of humbling to see that, and they've been shepherding her along, and it's good. She doesn't tell me about it, but she just does it, so it's exciting.
Anyone else?
One update I have is that Sam just showed me that the girls' hockey team did win tonight, so.
Nice.
I'll be there on Friday.
What would the teacher say to Sam, please, in his phone?
Is that his first warning? Warning one.
I attended the Panther Foundation meeting last week, which is a great group, as you all know. They passed some bylaw revisions. They talked about some grants, and they did some upcoming event planning, including their big event coming up a week from Saturday, which is awesome. And last night I went to the Woodcrest PTO meeting, and they have a lot going on, as all the schools do. It's always so impressive. But the week after the party on the 22nd, they have an I Love to Read Spirit Wear Week, which I think is super fun, just celebrating books in general. And Thursday of that week, they're doing a glow party that they used to do and haven't done for a while, but just sounds like super fun. Kids were bringing black lights and kids were cool things that glow, and I think it sounds like a great time, so. And then my last thing I was gonna mention, and that I'm sure Marilyn would as well, is, so the legislative season is upon us. MSBA does these legislative updates on Friday mornings, as we've talked about in the past. I know many of you can't watch those, but they do. I watched the last couple on replay. You can watch them on replay. And then this year they started with, they're putting notes up as well. So if you don't wanna spend the half hour, you can just kind of go over the notes if you want, although Jeff keeps us well informed as well. So, but just as a resource, so people have that as an option.
Thanks.
I was not able to attend the Lighthouse meeting last month, but the next one is a week from Wednesday. So that one I will be attending and can give an update on that. And then I'm also on Lions, but there's not a ton of meetings or anything going on there. So that's it for me.
Marilyn?
She'll carry us on this side of the board.
Well, the first thing I want to compliment Kelly, because I have these little weird definitions, and I say that one of the jobs of a school board member is to be a cheerleader for the district, and you did an excellent job of that this evening, so thank you. I went to the Westwood PTO meeting, and it was a presentation by one of our staff members on Schoology and on grading, and it was very, very good. But in the end, I think it raised as many questions as it answered questions. From AMSD, an interesting thing is happening. Metro Heights, which is credit recovery, has been just south of the Fridley Post Office for probably 10 years, and that is moving to University and Mississippi. Down in that southwest corner of that. It's much larger space, and the landlord had not been doing an excellent job of the building that they're in now, and there was no room for expansion. But that's a change. That was the big issue at that meeting. I went to the leadership conference. The keynote speaker was a man named Mickey Smith, who is a music teacher, a 7-time teacher of the year. He's from the South, he's been in several states, but I think Louisiana is mostly his spot. He plays a really mean saxophone. Wow. He believes modern day teaching is a relationship-based approach. And more than ever, teaching cannot simply be about the subject matter, but also about showing students that they matter. In Mr. Smith's classroom, his mission is to engage, educate, and empower every learner to excellence through music so that every child feels loved, valued, and wanted. So it was pretty powerful. Then I went to the recognition luncheon. My friend Cheryl from Brooklyn Center was a recipient of the Arlene Bush recognition. I think she and I are the only active ones that have that award. I also went to a session on parliamentary procedure, which really wasn't what I expected. But the interesting thing was that there was a team who had gone to competition on parliamentary procedure. And I thought, wow, but it's through FFA. And so we probably don't have that kind of connection, but something to keep ears open if there's ever a club that's interested in that. Amy has mentioned all of the MSBA stuff. The information that we get is through, if you go into the MSBA website, it's the governmental relations dashboard. Interesting things at the legislature. There's a proposal about limiting cell phones, like not having any. And then there's a Senate file 634. And I'm surprised this hasn't come up earlier. It requires all cities, towns, and school districts to hold elections in even-numbered years. So I don't know where that's gonna go. It would be, if it goes through as proposed, it would take effect on July 1, 2025, and it would apply to elections after January 1, 26. So there's a year in there, but that would affect us. And White Bear Lake there's 25 districts that are odd year. Everybody else is even year. White Bear Lake just recently has decided to go to even years. And I didn't have an opportunity to spend much time with that board member the other evening, but I'm going to inquire why they chose to do that. I think that's quite interesting. I think there's a few arguments on both sides.
Could be it.
Well, it's cost, and turnout. On the other side of the issue, we've pretty much kept party politics out because it's not on those elections, and local control. So, lots to say on those things.
Yeah.
But if you can avoid the really pressing issues and pass something else, it's a feather in somebody's hat.
True. Very true. Thank you, Marilyn. Anything else?
Well, I think that's enough.
Thank you. Yeah, there is a lot of interesting things happening at the legislators here with education.
Yeah, things will pick up here in the next few weeks.
Yes, they will. All right. Any other board updates? All right. So we'll move to adjournment. Can I get a motion? So moved by Hennon. Second by Schmidt to adjourn the meeting at 8:07. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everyone.